counting down as we speak. Good evening again. Second attempt. Try this again. We have enough bandwidth. Old School Dave is here. Second time's a charm.
That's the hope.
Hopefully the volume is okay.
Yeah, it's been a while since it just straight up lost connection.
Yeah, fortunately.
Yeah.
A little slow bringing up Facebook. Yeah, real slow. Well, it came up. Okay, that's good. Get rid of it. No, it's not. What's wrong with Twitter X? I wonder, was it me?
I think it's us.
I can't get into Twitter.
My iPad connect to the internet.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure why, so I'll stop trying. I mean, it says that it is, but it's like not.
When you stop, I'll try this again.
I don't think it's gonna do much difference because mine's not really connected. Like it's not.
It's
It's
not
not letting
attempting.
me. It's no. It's not
Okay.
even letting me get on. It's saying I'm not
All
connected,
right.
even though it's
All
saying
right.
that I am, but I am not.
Anybody that can hear me, let me know if you can get into Twitter. Doesn't matter. I'm not gonna do it, I guess. Am I still broadcasting? It says for 2 minutes for watching. Okay. Let me
Yes, you are still alive.
split out the chat.
You are still alive.
Okay, let's see here. All right, then. So Old School Dave says a lot smoother so far.
That's good.
So Kathy and I listened to the tape 274 today, and if you're new to this channel, ask me questions, and then I'll try to address something that might be of more interest to you. But the tapes are, something that's huge way of learning about T and O. Um, so that's anyway. I'm not going to say any more about that. But so this is my rough notes that I'm putting on the screen there from listening to audio 274 that was recorded in what they call Northcraft only. and it was recorded on November 20th, 1987. And some of the keywords that they put on their tape log, uh, they mean I was part of that. I was in the group at the time, so it was our tape log, because I was even the check partner for Cerrone, who would label the tapes. Um, and sometimes I did it. I was the primary, I think. If for some reason Cerrone wasn't there. Anyway, so but that's a whole nother discussion about how all that came about. But so those topics that were put on the tape were viral video vehicles, viral vehicles. Wait, did I say that right?
Viral vehicles?
Yeah,
Don't
like
where?
virulent, virulent.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Virile.
It was viral.
I think you can say it both ways. It just depends on.
Okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce that word right. It has to do with vehicles that are have a lot of force, and
Impotency.
and that comes out, you know, sensuous ways, as well as like power, dominating others with thoughts and things. Maybe it doesn't, just like I guess that can be everything can go to an extreme of, total self-reliance and, believe in yourself. And anyway, I'm going to not go through all that, but that's the opposite direction that next level member is growing, because they're growing to recognize how small they are really in comparison to the creator. It's an obvious thing to all of us, of course, but to actually think of it in relationship to our being evolutionarily animals, I mean, descended from animals, right? Uh, and still having animal behaviors and ways, the ways and behaviors of mammals, um, which includes the mindset as well, that is a self-centered mindset, even though all the animals, I think can learn not to be self-centered. And I saw evidence of that with, um, well, like dogs that want to, they want to please the master, which I was sometimes.
Evie learned how to throw up in a certain spot.
Right. Kathy's cat, Evie, learned to throw up in a certain spot. I don't know if you can hear her. I think you can, right? We determined that? Yeah. Sorry. I get distracted sometimes. But so another thing that was talked about in this tape was our relationship to Tiendo. Um, and I put a dollar sign in there. I don't know how that got in there because I didn't write this. I took it from most of it from the tape log. That's weird. Actually, I'm allowed to fix that right here, and it'll be fixed online. Yeah. So, um, our relationship to Tiendo, well, that has to do with. Um, seems to me that part of I don't know if it's that part of it what he's talking about, but exactly I don't remember it clearly. But he did say that T is our father and Do is T's son, and so that he wasn't actually our father, but he is our older member, and And you know, it's really interesting that he was saying that because I learned after leaving the classroom that that Jesus didn't claim to be the Father. He claimed that he had a father. Now that's the religious terminology, and it's kind of connotation that's you know, alluding, I guess, to understanding in a practical way, you know, being an older member was better terminology, was more accurate because it was new, and didn't have to be translated or down and all, and become the product of a religion. So that dilutes it. Uh, anyway, so well, he talks about that in this tape that uh, he was assigned that because he didn't actually, the way I understand it, he didn't actually plant the deposits of the soul pocket or pillowcase that he used to call it um, in the human beings that were to become potential members of the next level. And Jesus talked about that in terms of the seeds that were planted by the kingdom of God, kingdom of heaven. And some of them wouldn't survive, and some would. And they would grow, and they would grow to be small plants. And that illustration that Jesus gave for that was that those plants can actually become big trees, and they can actually provide life for, you know, and how would they provide life? Well, because they would be an older member in charge of the lab that was, or the labs, multiple laboratories, that was doing a project of bringing next levels experiments and membership possibility to planet, you know, and that they were cultivating to actually serve this facility. They do this all technically. It's all technological. And it shows how primitive we are because we can't, it's hard to see it as technological because of the religious superstitiousness of it in the past that was necessary at the time. That helps grow the minds to be aware, more and more aware of the reality that we're in. And so, um, so our relationship to Tiendo, being students, and this to me means existing students that are seeking, that are on the same path because they are recognizing Tiendo as uh, the carriers of the, this is the way I say it, you know, this moment of the greatest information and behaviors and ways and ideas and everything that we can imagine ever existed. That's what I think about it anyway. I mean, not that I don't see things that are interesting and revealing about things all the time, but they've got the overview of it all. I can't imagine another overview than that because I'm a creature like we all are of this creation. They own us. They own everything on it. It wouldn't exist if they didn't design it. It's not going to happen by some you know some automatic kind of program that just crashes into one another and you know a bunch of times and comes out with you know forms of life that they do evolve though. I mean, so those but the links are taken out between I think the animal kingdom and the human kingdom by the next level, and that explains why you don't have definitive proof of that evolution unless you can look at it in certain ways where there's definitive proof, right? standing upright and everything, and we see the evidence of the evolution process. But T, we're bringing more than an evolution of bodies, but an evolution of mind, which is the greater form of evolution, even though it takes the evolution of the body to be a match for the development of the evolutionary level above human mind in any humans. And that's why, well, that's all I'm going to go with on that strain. But uh, so I'm going to chat. Anything on your all minds? Someone's here named Cyrus and says, "Hey Sawyer and Kathy, how are both of you all y'all doing today?" There's a you all in there, so I like it right away. No, and that's a you know it's a reverse bias for me since I'm originally from New York, so my vehicle wouldn't probably have too much exposure to the dialect of the South. Except when I met T and Do, then I got exposure to that, and so I'm fond of it. Anyway, silly me, right? But Cyrus says, I'm currently waiting for Wednesday to come around for my check to clear, but I'm still going to be in touch. I'm the one who have contacted you about buying a book through Facebook email, Nick. Oh yeah, cool, cool. That's great to know. And you might have to remind me of that connection sometimes. Uh, um, but
Remember it,
yeah,
maybe.
Kathy will remember it better than I will. But I shouldn't
Maybe.
say that, right?
Yeah, I was
Sound
gonna
like,
say maybe. Yeah,
right, I'm producing a negative thing
yeah,
at the
I
same time.
wouldn't.
Yes, but anyway, so just,
I will try.
he says, or they say, that they just listened to the Beyond Human and um, session about that again recently, the animals analogy. Oh, okay, good. That's yeah. Beyond Human videos are the place to go to me to get an introduction to Tiendo right from directly from the source. Those experience and the students that were helping him. You know, with their positive energy and everything else, that it was all natural to those students. Um, and and the positivity, though says in this tape again, re-emphasizes it. Um, that anything less than a positive is alien, but not alien like, the way we use alien with people. I'm talking about alien meaning uh, uh,
Lower forces.
lower forces, right?
And yeah, not of the next level.
Right, not at the next level in behaviors and ways, uh, but more than that, actually. Different than that, even, because it's by their choice to lead others away from the next level. And that happens in various ways through religions and through philosophies and through all kinds of things in the human kingdom that make it look like that there's this religion and that it's all about believing in something, and there's this science that's all about doing things and knowing how to achieve the results that are measurable. Maybe that's what I'm not a professional in talking about that, but at all. But I think I see the dichotomy there, if that's a proper description and word for it, uh, it looks like one is against the other, but they're really not. The next level, they're all the same thing. They're just different facets of the opportunities of what humans can attain to and come to understand and explore. And because it's a big school, it's like there's 12 grades in school, and you're getting into the school in the first 6 grades to become the best human that you could become relative to that time in history, whenever that's happening. And those would be seen as the people that are successful, that have no worries about their finances, and or they even have their graves paid for, and just as examples of to the degree that insurance policies and everything. And
Everything's mapped out.
yeah, everything's mapped out. Their family relationships doing. I mean, everybody's going through stuff, of course, because that's the way it has to be. But for the most part, they appear to others to be successful humans. So that's considered by the next level to be the 6th grade, and that's not to put people down, because we've all been in that kind of position, being from the stock of uh, uh, mind and body, biological materials that has been growing in this kingdom to produce our plant-like bodies. Um, so when the next level comes and starts talking about behavior and ways and of another kingdom level, uh, um, the vehicles generally they fight it, right? For the most part, I think. Unless there's candy associated with it, But and the next level does provide that, and you can call it bait because they're trying to actually grow. They're trying to harvest souls that can grow to be trees, and supply life for a kingdom. If they, which they can't do if it's about themselves, because they won't get the direction on how to actually grow a mind to that degree, because it takes like building muscles, or any other discipline over the vehicle takes a certain amount of mind to stick to it and keep on working on it, and it takes a lot of effort. But that's growing up. I think minds are growing when they're doing that, and that's what they talk about in the Transfiguration diet. That there's that making choices to improve the vehicle and to improve our lives, and think about things in a positive way, and get rid of the negativity when it comes knocking on our door, and don't start to enjoy being in the negative frame of mind, and letting that take you over, which it's harder for some to do that than for others, but everybody's got their challenges, mind and body. And I believe that with the next level's help, the true next level, the highest source we can imagine in the universe that created this planet and the life forms on it, with those kind of thoughts, projecting them out into the heavens, away from where the space alien souls can actually hear what you're saying and try to twist it into something else that's more akin to like a new age way of thinking, or thinking that humans created this entire environment for themselves, just with a previous civilization that, however they think about it, because the space aliens have those kind of thoughts, because they were part of previous civilizations where they had opportunity to become members of the next level, and did, but remained at a very elementary capacity of service in the next level. So the next level are laboratories that are as big as planets, that can be, like Pluto could be an example of one.
Krell is here.
I'm not saying it is, and Tiandou weren't saying it is, but they were saying that the next level has laboratories as big as planets, and they used Pluto as an example in the movie that they wrote.
Crow is in chat.
Let's go see what Braille's got to say. Oh, there's something wrong with my system? I'm
What do
not
you mean?
seeing. Oh, I got it on top chat. Maybe that's the problem.
What? Be in top chat. Rude.
No, I don't. That wasn't the reason.
Maybe you're just not seeing their comment. It's right there.
Oh, right here. There you are. How you doing? It's '07, right? Now, if I ever meet some of you in person, and you're gonna say, "Hey, how are you, '07?" I'm gonna think, "Wait a minute, I know that's familiar."
I don't think they're saying '07.
It's saying, "Hey, y'all." What does that mean, actually?
I'm not sure. I think it's
And Osiris says, "Time, discipline, and trial and error." Yeah, yeah, those are all pretty good keyword guidelines, of making progress in some direction, right? So, uh, yeah, I don't know if I just string together words. There's truth in all those words. That the next level does. Um, they try to do things regarding time as quickly as possible without making a mess or without doing a bad job or doing a good job, an adequate job. And they have high standards for that. It's not a casual kind of thing. Uh, and discipline is part of it. Yeah, like capturing the vehicle. That was the whole thing. And capturing a vehicle is not easy to do because the vehicle generally doesn't want to be captured unless uh, you got some motivation, and the motivation comes from the mind. And the mind, when the mind grows more, it's got more motivation to, but it's all relative. Uh, Sorry, I'm getting all philosophical. But and trial and error, yeah, absolutely. How many times have you been down a road where you made the same mistake and then you didn't correct it? I don't know. Maybe you don't have that experience, but I do. Sometimes, it'll go on for a little while. I'll be doing something in a way that I know I can do it better, but I'm just lazy because I don't want to go look for some tool or something. Yeah, reminding me of my history of fixing things.
no.
Yeah, it's like I try this, I try this, I try this, I try this,
Don't
and I
go.
don't know what to try first because I'm not really
Just
thinking
don't.
about it that well.
Just don't. Don't.
Alrighty. So Cyrus says it's like little man saluting. Oh, that's what that is. Okay, little man saluting. Oh, that's right. I think Cyrus told me that. No, Krell told me that before. Maybe I don't know. Somebody told me.
Somebody's told us before.
Somebody
We
told me.
just
The
forget
O is the head, and the
every single
the
time.
arm thing is the hand. That's an interesting hand, huh? It's like a sickle. Anyway, so then slowly after the capture, I felt like stuff started to fall apart in my life, though different roads since the journey to the next level started. Oh, when you as a fish were captured, because it is kind of a capturing. Uh, and the fish, in the case of this case, um, well, there might be times when it wishes it wasn't captured, but the times that'll always be the test. well, maybe not always the test, but in some way, shape, or form, maybe. But that you recognize that uh, the thing that you were making into a mountain was really not a mountain, just that you weren't ready to tackle it yet. And so anyway, so I mean, they were talking about this in the next video I mean, audio that we're gonna plan to watch, 275.
Listen to.
Yeah, I was looking at that because, well, anyway, and it was talking about um, the process of uh, well, converting negatives to positives, I guess. No, I kind of lost it. I think I got distracted by another thought. So sue me, I guess, for that. That's something that
Don't.
Sawyer
We're
does.
already being sued.
Yeah, right. Don't sue
Don't
me.
tell anybody else to sue us.
Right, right. Okay, so don't do that. Okay. I mean, even though, yeah. Then slowly after the capture, I felt like stuff. Right, the capture. So Rodot talks about in tape 274, just mentions it that they were going out fishing. They're going out to fish,
Not recruit.
not recruit. That's right. Thank you for that. And uh, and and you can think, well, how is that different? Because the vehicle doesn't want to not be human anymore. So it automatically is going to fight it. So it's only if the mind has developed in that vehicle to be able to see some things about what's being told, what's being said, in any source, we can think about it this way, I think, perhaps. But it's like a clue of something that we can choose to grab onto that's like bait, right? It's an interesting thought. And so, if we grab it, some of it, you know, might mean that we get eaten, but some of it might mean we get to be in a fishbowl. It's a domesticated creature. And that's the first time I thought about it that way. I don't know if that's from Tiando's mind to think that way, but I mean, a fishbowl in the sense that we become a human soul in the sea of humanity. Because that's the way actually rivers are talked about as being a sea of humanity, or part of the sea of humanity. And uh, who knows if, I don't know, I don't want to get into the technical part of that, but it'd be fun to try to work with that in a movie or something. But so maybe I should just move on. Yeah, see the idea then is that, well, I guess I said it already. Maybe I beat that to death, the old fish thing. But that was used, of course, as a big example, and of course, now Christians, some of them, many of them, probably in some ways, even though some aren't proselytes, many aren't. Many don't really want to go and get new members, by preaching on the corner and stuff, or in some marketplace. But I guess they all have their ways being broadcast on radio and stuff. So yeah, people are gaining followers to their brand or their denomination. So I talked about that in this tape. That the next level T and Doe's group, we are a denomination compared to, in this case that he was talking about, relative to what the way he was talking about it, Doe was, to the ones that were called the Sexaholics Anonymous group and the other groups that are related to the same kind of thinking about things. And what separated them from all the other groups was that they were thinking that celibacy was a right and it was normal to be celibate, and that it wasn't to be thought of as uh,
Abnormal.
yeah, abnormal to be that way. And that's what separated them, even though within a number of the groups, there were individuals in the group that were remaining celibate and were, uh, of course, it's a generalization, but he said like 15%, he thought was, right? The gentleman named
No,
Roy.
no, that was at just a couple of different chapters
Oh, okay.
in LA, I believe he said. So it wasn't like across the board or anything. It was just a couple different meetings had 15 to 20%.
So,
I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what
yeah, so these tapes are for somebody that's new to this. These tapes that we're talking about are showing the progression of uh, behaviors and ways and understandings and concepts and ways of doing things in the human kingdom and what felt right and what didn't feel right. Like one thing that didn't feel right to do was to do something tax exempt because he didn't want to have some authority over him to you know force him to change something that he wants to say or do because they have some say. If you happen to be brought up for an audit or whatever it is, maybe that's not a good example. But as a nonprofit, is what the example was. You have to abide by certain rules in a lot of nonprofits. I don't remember what they were. I know that it took a while for Lagodi, one of the members of the group, to study it all, and Doe studied it with him. I mean, not necessarily together, but probably not. But by reading up on things, um, but they got it down to where they knew they could just create something quickly because you have to have different documents and all. But anyway, so I mean, paying taxes was something that Jesus said. That when he was asked, whether to pay taxes or not, and he said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, right? That's a very direct way of saying, if the government that you live under has created this environment, then and you're a part of it, you're using the money system, I think is implied there, then pay the tribute or pay the taxes. But the real thinking, I think, that was behind that he wasn't going to get trapped into by that. That's why I think they talked about it as a trap happening. Uh, was that the reason why is not because the government's right about what they're doing. It's because by their standards, is because um, uh, you don't want to interfere with them, so that they interfere with us, and and clamp down on us, or whatever the us being any individuals that are not acting outside the government's laws, but are thinking outside the government's bubble in ways that people sometimes would find fault with, of course. The way that Doe and T were demonized, and their followers were made into looking like robots or whatever, you know mesmerized beings that think in these strange ways. But it's interesting though that you know you can imagine. I know I've talked with people that had some success in life. I mean, you can even meet them if you're driving the way we sometimes drive for income. meet people that have experience in certain areas that when they hear something that's interesting, they don't necessarily just out and attack you for it, for saying it, like, oh, that's not true. And uh, it's when they attack you for it is that they're not on solid ground. They don't have solid ground in the way that they're developing at that moment, anyway. So I think I could be wrong. So they're so fragile feelings that they almost strike out against. They don't want to feel like they're being taken over by a certain body of information. And I think that's one mindset anyway. But I'm just rambling now. I'm sorry. Yep. Let me see if there's anything in the chat room and then get back to the tapes. So Cyrus says that he felt like that stuff started to fall apart in
Yeah,
his
you
life.
already read that.
You're right, but I was wanting to talk a little bit more about it. I
Okay.
think uh, that's the pattern, not a pattern, but it's what happens. Uh, that as soon as we're putting ourselves in the next level's hands more, because it's always a process and a degree. The next level is helping us with changing certain directions. I would say would be because I think we all have things that we can change and do better in, or put our minds to differently, or think about better different ways, and then also have more challenges that will we can potentially ask the next level to help us with as we're going down the different roads and how to interpret things, how to take okay, so that happens, and does that mean that's not the direction to go in, or when to stop when you're sending out resumes or something, or how to word them differently can be examples of that. I think learn how to communicate with people in different ways and not to excite their negative views of you, and like we used to do that by dressing up into wearing more business attire and a suit. Even I would go to job interviews wearing a suit because they respect that. And there's no, it's not a reason. There's a reason to respect it. I guess it shows certain desire to conform to that structure, and to to show respect for it. That's why it's funny to see humans like that are wearing all the ties and stuff disrespect somebody that's wearing a different kind of garment, like a robe or something. It shows their lack of unless they were laughing about something else and just got portrayed that way at the time. That happened, I think, on Capitol Hill somewhere recently. But let's move on. They hate what they don't understand. Yeah, so I think that can happen. It's that's probably a real succinct way of saying it, right? But it's like it says in the Revelations that you will see him coming in the clouds. And so people think that, okay, I guess he's going to be in the clouds coming because he said that's the way that he left, and that's the way he comes and goes. Okay, so yeah, but uh, does that mean you think you're going to see his physical vehicle looking the way that his physical vehicle looked 2,000 years ago, coming in the clouds? And then there's other clues to that, to where that points to that, and you start to think, well, we know that was metaphorical because everything in the book of Revelation is metaphorical, right? For the most part, until until somebody can see more of a literal application for it, or I mean, bring an interpretation to it. And I actually did want to talk about that a little bit. But then I switched. I was thinking about doing something else, so I didn't. Or maybe I can. Hmm. I don't know if I really want to talk about this right now. I mean, what I've got on the screen right now, if you can see it, is Revelation 6:1. It's talking about one of the seals opening. And I've given interpretations of it before. It's not like a reading or anything. I'm not going into some stupid trance or something. But um, which is something that somebody can do. They can train themselves to do that and be the channel for a spirit, a deceased human, or even the mind from one of the demons, one of the space alien fallen angel souls. Can use different people to actually recruit new souls to their captivity or their way of fishing. And that's fishing for the lower from the lower forces perspective, and the next level allows that to happen. Uh, but they give the individuals that are being fished lots of opportunities to recognize the handwriting on the wall and not go in that direction. That they're being led by the kind of bait that is given by the lower forces, which, you can see the avenues of that with money and power and popularity and, bribery and, um, you know, the way that's all used. So this, we've known that this is going on forever. That's happening, to us. And we see all the mishmash of conflict between the different sides of the equation. And for power grabs, they're looking to get that budget to do what they want to do with it in their way, uh, and to promote what they want to promote. And I wondered the other day if any of the ones that might never have divulged to Trump proof of the alien presence on the planet, space alien presence on the planet, and because to me that's all it would take to get them on. But then if they did, the thing is, he might tell people that, and and they don't want to have to do the cover up of that. But then they can just say he's crazy. He's making it all up, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know what the advantage might be to do that. To tell him about the bodies and the crashed spacecrafts and even the cloning process that might be going on in the some of the Epstein locations. I don't know how much he knows about that. I don't know if he could keep his mouth shut. Because if he can't keep his mouth shut about it, then their projects are in danger. And and they will take you out or some shape or form, distract things with even, I mean, some people have been talking about there's going to be some, false flag events, and I don't doubt that that's possible. But then at the same time, I think that they have so many ways of keeping funding on all the underground systems and the trying to prolong life to, the organ, and the genetic engineering and the test tube babies and the cloning and all those things are going on despite uh, um, laws that say that they shouldn't be doing certain things, or they should be testing things more, but they don't want to spend the money on it. They don't want trials. They want to have blanket data that's clean data. That's why they wanted them, I believe, to limit the things that people were using to suppress the symptoms that were happening that are like, flu, right? And because they wanted to test their theories on whether they could actually have medicines that could be used to as the basis for controlling anything, any viral attack. That's what they want. That's what gain of function is all about. And that's all known, but there's a whole segment of the population that don't see that, and they don't want to see it, and they block themselves from seeing it, or they are blocked from seeing it by the forces of this world that they become in league with. I'm not saying who they are, because they can all break out, in my opinion. If when they see a certain amount of, because the next level provides help for everybody. So when things fall apart in people's, what they're portraying as reality, and you get clues. When that doesn't make sense. That is that real? And when you think about them, and then you see other people thinking about them, you start to see. But then the lower forces come in then to try to mix everything up with conspiracy theories and Elvis is still alive and everybody's still alive somewhere, and all these things and might be even true, but of course we don't know. But it mixes things up so much that there's so much confusion about what is true and what's not true that you become part of that um, new Babylon. We all become part of that new Babylon, whether we like it or not. We're part of it doesn't mean that we're doing that. We're making that happen. All the illusion. Hopefully, we're not. I mean, as long as it's not hurting somebody. I'm not talking about people in movies and things, building illusionary thinking. You know, I don't think people are trying to do that. But then again, there are projects like MK Ultra and things that are doing that. They're consciously. So I'm contradicting myself with practical reality. That I want to, but anyway, so that was making me go over to this other verse in Scripture. And it's talking about the judgment of the great, and they use the word in the Old English as whore, right? Okay, now that can be a major distraction, although it's got its accuracy. But it's relative to the next level. It's not a moral kind of thing. But it is from the Greek word porn, okay? But it's a metaphorical meaning primarily in this context. And I'll show you how. It says that it's an idolatrous. It's putting somebody else up as an idol, a worship, something that we're worshiping, and we're worshiping it if we're giving our service to it. And the degree in which we're worshiping it is the degree of which uh, um, we're not. Because the word worship means giving service to. If somebody's not giving service to something, they're not worshiping it. So, that's where the idea was for Christians to go out and share the kingdom, because that's what Jesus said to do to people all over the earth. And so they have that instruction. Okay, so uh, um, that's an example of how, and Christians do that in their own lives, a lot of ways, in their mingling with other people in all different ways. So it's not that's still that's if it's going to what Jesus actually taught, then it's going towards supporting that mind, and then it's not an idol. It's not a false idol. In a sense, the next level wants us to make their kingdom something that we idolatrate, that we are, they're our idol. I mean, I don't think that's a terrible word. It's knowing that you have somebody to look up to that you can trust is actually the highest idol. It's not a false idol then. It's a trustworthy idol, if you want to use that word. I don't. I know Tiendo never used that word that I can imagine. So maybe that's why it feels so uh, yucky to use that word, referring to the next level. But um, but but we, as human beings, we give our service to the government, through our taxes, whether we like it or not. We give our service to other people, and whether we like or not their behaviors, by buying things from stores and everything that we do. But uh, that's not, I don't think, talking about what, because they also describe it as blasphemy. And that meant talking against the reality of the next level and the kingdom of God, the creators of this planet, and teaching people that it doesn't exist. Beings, living beings, if you want to come down to it. And it talks about living beings in this book of Revelation. It happens to be one of the words that is not given a unique human word, English word, so that it deceives people to think that there were four living beasts in Revelation 4 and other places in the Revelation material, when that meant living beings that were even using bestial humans, which human vehicles are. Vehicles that were prepared for them to use. So, but the word Babylon, which I was trying to get to before, let's see. Oh, it was this one here. Well, I'm not finding it. Maybe it's better that I just don't find it, but because it's not that important. But um, I guess I said enough about it. And if I didn't, and somebody has a question and they care about it, then let me know, and then maybe I'll get back into that way of thinking. Whoops, I didn't mean to put that down. Darn. Okay, back to that. So uh, let's go to the chat. Bioengineering, yeah, from Osiris. Okay, so let me go back to the tape for a little bit longer. And talked about the plant.
What are you doing? That was at the very beginning,
I'm
wasn't
not
it?
sure. Huh?
The plant was at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was the very beginning. Oh no, but I was going by the description of keywords that cue us into the text on the bottom of it. I didn't paste all the text in there in this document, but uh, let's see. So I talked about virile vehicles, our relationship with T and O a little bit, taking ownership of a vehicle. Yeah, that was the whole fishing thing. Is you're actually it's souls that are fishing for vehicles. Okay, so the soul that found a vehicle then would have the same task of uh, if that's given, if that's the task that's at hand, to spread the information. It's not to get recruits. It's to give opportunity. Actually, I know that's what they say. That's what they all say, that they're giving you an opportunity. But that's what it ends up being, is given the opportunity to take it, pay attention to this information if they want to, if something strikes them. But if it doesn't strike them, then you don't stand there and debate. You have to find some common ground in your minds before you're going to talk much about. I'm just applying it to now in my mind. I'm slow to bring things up at my job because I don't want to lose my job. If somebody finds fault with what I'm saying. So, but anyway, that's what the internet's so good for. In a lot of ways, and it was designed that way. I think that so everybody would have a task they could do via the internet because look at all the misinformation that's been said about T&O. So to me, tackling, uh, combating that misinformation in some way, if one can, uh, sometimes could be a benefit, but especially as an avenue to actually give more of the way they thought and why they thought the way they thought. Um, with me, I find that I have to kind of, in my mind, before I ask for help to get a new direction, because sometimes I feel like I get a new direction and then uh, I choose not to go that direction, and with my thinking or whatever. So I wonder, okay, well, but I think the thing is, to not let that become something that depresses you because you wouldn't ever go in that other direction if you don't continue to uh, grow your mind and go in the directions that you can go in. I mean, this comes down to overcoming addictions to the human kingdom, the aspects of the human kingdom, whether it's substances or sensuality or sexuality as a part of sexuality, and that's what you'll see talked about in this tape, that they were considering talking to people on that level in a public way, but ended up didn't happen that way much, except for the individuals that they were in touch with. That they found things in common with uh, in the different groups that they were going to and talking with, and the group leaders of like Sexaholics Anonymous in Simi Valley of California. Anyway, so uh, ended up becoming, we saw the result of years of Doe thinking how to, and taking little stabs at interfacing with people, knowing how distant this whole way of thinking was from most of us. and uh, to where he got to the Beyond Human tapes, and then that material was given for us to use when he sent the students out to talk about the next level and uh, to hold the meetings, the public meetings that were had in 1994. And it was partway in when we got to Chicago after I was a part of a group that did several meetings in Arizona and New Mexico and other places, Colorado. But he introduced the idea of playing a tape of the Beyond Human series during the meeting in Chicago, and that footage is available somewhere, uh, which shows them playing the tape a little bit. I forgot the name of the site for that, but I don't think it's not copyrighted material. So it's from Rick Cody's camera, and I was there when we were filming, so it's owned by me more than anybody else, unless there was somebody else there at the time. But I don't think there is right now. But and I want it to be spread freely. Anyway, so moving on. Influences attacking dough and Southcraft stronger when separate. Return to elementary discipline instead of instead of letting certain forms of negativity battle us. Learn to just shut it off and keep it out. And and they were talking about having a California outpost and giving a reception and autocraft tasks. And that's all I'm going to say about the overview of the tapes. And I might be getting to a close. I feel like I'm getting kind of tired and still want to have a little bit of opportunity to do something before I go to the Betty Bye. So let me go back to the chat. Osiris says, as with me and the gift of the Beyond Human sessions, and now here too. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it, hearing your appreciation of that. And yeah, the Beyond Human sessions are, it's like medicine that, gives us comfort, gives us healing, can even help us relax and sleep. Kathy listens to Beyond Human series all the time uh, to rest. And I listen, I can't, I lay there and I listen as well. And I just won't have sleep in that regard. I just can't help but just keep on listening to what I was talking about. It's music. It is truly music to my ears. And it doesn't have that name of do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do for a reason. It is music to the ears of those who hear it in that way. And we hear it that way if we're not afraid of, going after it. And I guess somebody that's listening to this broadcast wouldn't be too afraid of it because they wouldn't even come to this broadcast if they knew ahead of time that I'd be talking favorably about tea and dough. So a few more things in the chat. It says, I appreciate the effort, Osiris, and almost like lullaby tranquil. Yes. because our influences, I guess, are actually for the moment that we're listening to someone talking about the next level. I'm not saying that that works for me necessarily, but when it's coming through this vehicle, um, but uh, but Trudeau, it's they can't relate to any of it. I mean, they can still try, but um, uh, you know that there's nothing in it that's threatening. It's threatening to influences. Influences don't want to hear about what, not wanting them around. They want to go to individuals where they can get what they want from. They might think of us as a challenge, some of them, and and you can always get, if you think about like being young, the way that Tian Do talked about having weaknesses as being young, but he put it as a weakness, talking about it that way. I think it was the next level word to help stimulate that it was something to gain strength by working on. Uh, and I don't know, but I can't speak for anybody else, but um, I don't know if to what degree this is working, but we are working on things when we try to, when we stand for Tiando as being from the kingdom that created this planet and the life forms on it. And we try to maintain that stand, or we're willing to stand for them, is I think the way it was said in Junodi's document, which I take seriously every word they use, because I know you know, how specific they want it to be or general they want it to be, but uh, and maintain that stand and accept the consequences that come with that stand, and maintain that stand until they leave their vehicles. Okay, so that was that soul being saved, and how we interpret that is up to us. The degree in which we approach it in our minds or in our actions is up to us. When we put things into motion in any regard or don't is up to us. It's free will. It's always the way it is. The next level classroom is free will. But individuals that are going in this direction, they see more of, they allow themselves to desire it more than somebody who doesn't. It's just a practicality, right? I guess that's one way of looking at it. I'm not saying it's the only way of dissecting it, but and so keeping on going is the key, and it is the battle of Armageddon because the next level is going to see to it that we're going to be challenged, and how fast we get rid of the negativity and keep on moving in a direction is up to us, and that can take a lot of different shapes and forms. So. Uh, and battles. It can be, many times in the boxing ring with the influences. And but can happen in a twinkling of the eye. I saw, and that's what I was trying to remember from that other tape log of 275, where it said that how it can be in a twinkling of the eye that a change can happen. And I know that's true. I know that's true from experience. So, with that said, going to say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, Kathy.
You
No, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, stop.